Now back to Inside West Virginia Politics with Mark Curtis.
And welcome back to Inside West Virginia Politics. This Sunday morning, we continue our discussion of medical marijuana here in West Virginia. I'm joined by U.S. Attorney Mike Stuart from the Southern District of West Virginia. Great to have you on the program again.
Great, thank you.
I know we've heard from some advocates for medical marijuana this morning. I know you have some concerns about this. What are they, especially from the law enforcement level?
Well, listen, we vigorously enforce federal law. And so there's the state side of this, and there is an appropriations rider, which says we won't use federal dollars from an enforcement standpoint where a state's placed into effect a medical marijuana regime. But it's still really important that when all the other federal laws that are implicated here are complied with, whether it's banking and finance, or whether it's the state's responsibility to properly fund and regulate vigorously the enforcement of these industries. And so I'm not the person standing in the way of medical marijuana in West Virginia. I can tell you that that is absolutely the fact, even though some folks may tell you differently.
Well, folks have said that because of the overall veil of the threat or possibility of threat of prosecution, medical marijuana, the banks in the state that do business with the state government don't want to handle any of the financial transactions because they don't want to be held liable.
Well, here's what I tell you is that I don't make the laws. And so I follow the laws that Congress puts on my desk. And so what we don't want are U.S. attorneys who pick and choose the law. That becomes very dangerous. That's where you get into political persecution and you get into U.S. attorneys who have their own agenda. I have no agenda except I want to make sure the public is safe.
You just came back from a conference in Colorado where you talked to other USAs and other people about the issue of medical marijuana and recreational marijuana. What are your takeaways from your trip to Colorado?
Well, you really got to break it into three things. Denver, Colorado is an amazing place, a strong economy. But they also legalize marijuana. And so there's the positive side, revenue that comes into certain businesses, but there are also adverse consequences. So you got to break it into three things. Hemp, and we actually have a hemp bill in West Virginia. And medical marijuana that's supposed to come online July of next year. And then you get into recreational marijuana. There are adverse issues that affect people here. And so I think it's important before we go down the avenue of those areas that the public understand these issues, the facts. I'm not going to try to sell them on what the right answer is, but I think it's important that they know, for instance, that this is not Woodstock marijuana that we're talking about. In 1969, August of that year, the marijuana that was being smoked at Woodstock had THC content of 0.5 to 2%. The average marijuana being smoked in Colorado or consumed in marijuana today, or in Colorado today, over 30%. So we're talking about a substantially different drug. It comes in every form and variety in Colorado. And so there are real problems in Colorado. So what I hear from advocates of this industry is, boy, the dollars are just going to save West Virginia. And I've heard this with the craft beer industry. I hear it with the marijuana industry, that all the problems of West Virginia will be solved by this substance. I think we just need to build a great economy in West Virginia. If marijuana is part of that and the people want that to be the case, that's fine, but we're going to enforce federal law, and it's different from state law. And we have to make sure the public is safe.
The opinion polls show that people in the state on both sides of the aisle, and we saw that in the legislature, there was strong bipartisan support for the medical marijuana bill here. What do you say to people out there who are going through chemotherapy, who have cancer, or who may have multiple sclerosis or other diseases or illnesses that they feel that medical marijuana can help them?
Yeah, so I'm not opposed to that at all. In fact, I'm very sympathetic. And listen, I understand that there may be certain instances where marijuana of some variety may be useful in the treatment of some disease or symptom or pain condition. I'm not the guy standing in the way of that. In fact, I support that. I think it's important we be honest in our discussion here. But what we've had so far is a one-sided discussion. And so as I see us going to medical marijuana, what we're really doing is the path to recreational marijuana. I think folks need to understand there are ecological issues, there are environmental issues. Gosh, some of the very same environmental issues that shut down the coal industry, they've got those problems in spades in Colorado with respect to the marijuana industry. And so I understand the medical marijuana side. I'm sympathetic to these issues. I operate within the constraints of federal law. I'm certainly never going to say I'm not going to enforce federal law, but it's important that we work together on this. But if we get to the point of recreational, the people need to understand the facts behind the substance.
All right. Well, we're going to see what happens come July 1st of 2019 here in the state of West Virginia. Again, we want to thank U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of West Virginia, Mike Stuart, for joining our discussion on medical marijuana. you come back and join us anytime on any issue you want to talk about. You're a busy guy, a lot going on. We'll have more of Inside West Virginia Politics next week. We'll see you then.